Just thought it'd be good right before Thanksgiving to, at least in the US. I don't know what you all do in Canada. Do you have anything like this, Michael?
Not this time of year. Um, we do Thanksgiving in early October.
Oh,
Yeah. And
sim
yeah, same kind of thing. You cook up a turkey, if you can stand it, you get together with family and
Well, you two, thanks for being here. Maybe somebody else will join us. Maybe they won't. We'll find out, of course. But I think this is a good time to just check in and link arms in terms of supporting each other with whatever might be coming up at this point. And I'd say, I don't know for you, Marge, but with Thanksgiving right here, it feels like especially intense, or I don't know, maybe it has to do with the lead up to the solstice. Anyway, yeah, I don't know if that's your experience, but so I'm glad we're meeting, even if it's just the three of us. So how about this is a like a check-in support call and see how you each are and what's going on for you.
oh, I didn't mute, so I'll just go ahead. Um, ooh, uh, I'm finding my big question is, how do I engage with the most positive effect that also allows me to care for me?
Great.
Um, it's the question that keeps coming up for me. And I don't know if I mentioned this the last time, but 2024, I cleared so much stuff that
Wow.
I was doing as a volunteer and this and that. And I just, well, my body basically in late, late December, I just suddenly coughing and throat thing and I can't sleep and blah, blah. So it was like people were saying, "Hey, you don't seem well. Why don't you stay at home?" And um, and as I clicked off all those lights, I could feel inside that, yeah, this is for me. That even if I couldn't see it at one conscious level, um, myself knew it. So, um, and 2025 feels like, okay, I believe I can get out there and make a positive difference. How can I do that? And as it were, maintain that kind of, well, let me say, you are one of my models, Julie. You are involved in many, many things. You initiate, you collaborate, um, and I get your emails and I read them, and it's just like, okay, if I was drained, I could not write this. Um, or you will write about how you got tripped up and do it in such a way that it's inspiring. So, anyway, that's
Got
that's where I am right now.
how to take care of yourself and and still have kind of a part in with things that can feel really bad or toxic is what I would, is that how you would
Um,
feel it?
or I would put it more, um, Michael is discovering his essence, and now he's wondering, how can I get that into the world to make the most positive difference possible?
Okay. All right.
Uh,
That.
so I'm not working at it, as
Mhm.
it were. Um, yeah, that
Okay.
would be.
Well, why don't we find out what's going on for you, Marge, too? And I'm trying to block out the sun behind me, which is strange because there isn't really sun. It's just glare. But yeah, so that we can see if there's some way to meld what's going on for you too.
Um, Jules, for whatever it's worth, your video quality's fine, no matter how that light's coming through.
Okay, thank you.
Your face is still clear and
Oh, great.
um,
Back.
well, I'm struggling even with saying anything because last week I promised that I wouldn't say anything this week.
Oh, no.
Um,
Did you promise that?
yeah, because here's why. And I just have a bunch of random thoughts,
Okay.
and they're probably better suited for a therapist, right, Jules?
Who
I mean,
knows?
I know you are one, but I mean not this call, this
No.
format.
I'd say put it out there. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
I will.
I think they have no idea.
Um, First of all, I used to do morning pages and I hated them because it was the same fucking bullshit every time. It was not helpful. And I actually asked this in the session that you didn't attend that oh, I'm blanking on her name.
Jen was in
That
charge.
Jen,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, Jen, of course. And I'd asked, what do you do when, and I'm using dramatic language, when the enemy is the mind. So
Right?
going through the steps, for me, it's go pet a dog, go for a walk. It was the minute I remember a long time ago when the thing to get out of the reactive brain was to do something physical. Um, that I was like, oh, that's the ticket for me because the mind is the enemy. And I'm reading a memoir right now by a guy who has an addiction. And it's so amazingly written how he does whenever he's tempted. I go, that's what your brain does. You're addicted to something too. And so I think, Jules, that what I'm struggling with respect to this election and the current state of the world is that I don't accept it. I can't fucking believe that I'm 59. I'm going to be on this planet 30 more years or 40. And I just go, I don't know if I can do this because I'm not resourced. And I'm tired of resourcing myself. And it seems to me that the moment to moment resourcing that an addict has to do is really tiring. And I go, you're doing it too. It's with this thing. And then I keep going, well, okay, put in structures. What would resource you? Do you have to go volunteer at a rescue for dogs or whatever? Do you need to live with someone? When are you resourced? But this nervous system is also like, get me out of here. So I don't know how to accept this ecosystem without being victimized by it because I can go there real fast. But I do know that the basic resource that I need is that fucker's out of office. Like I can't wait to breathe. So it's just very tricky for me to be like, just get into your being. I'm like, no, no, I gotta do something to resource myself.
Mhm.
And I'm flailing, trying to figure out what it is, because even the being is a moment to moment sustaining that because I'm always carrying this thing around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I really would love to have my attention out there
Mhm.
instead of, oh, but I live alone and this ain't gonna find me a man. I don't even know if I want one. Like, oh, get away from me. There's so much competing sense of what, like, the older I get, the less I know what I want.
Mhm.
And I've lost a sense of my why in this culture, in this world. So I go, at least I just need some physical safety. I don't know where to live. So I'm just struggling with finding the one thing to to build a foundation around. And I know it's supposed to be me. That's the lesson. Wherever you go, there you are. But I'm like, I know, but this comes with me.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm at. I know that boo-hoo,
I wasn't
you live
thinking that.
in, you're not in Ukraine. Boo-hoo.
I, I
But
wasn't
I'm
thinking that,
just
Marge.
like, I want to be resourced so I can give my gift.
Exactly.
And I'm questioning my current professional gift because in this culture, I'm like, what the fuck? Big fucking deal, whatever. And of course, I intellectually know it all is helpful. Art is helpful. Anyway, I just totally let a bunch of energy out. That
Good.
felt nice
Yeah.
rather than thrashing, but
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. This thing is in the fucking way. And of course, I recognize moments where I'm at peace. I go, see, you're just in and out of it. You got this. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for so um, just what we're seeing is what we're getting. Like just so here with that, Marge. And hi, Suzanne. Hi, Channel. Let's keep going. You didn't hear Michael checking in, but I do think there's a theme already of resourcing and how do we resource ourselves in a way that actually feels in this ongoing way that it's actually nutritious versus sort of spinning in place and relying on old things that don't actually help very much. So yeah, resourcing. Great question. I'm wondering of myself. And one thing just to say right here is I don't think relying just on our own insides is an answer. At least it isn't for me. It isn't enough. Versus having a sense that there is support. I don't know from where. We can talk that over about where what we think about that. But um, when I just focus on myself, I mean, I know that people do this. I know that, that's possible. I've read about them, and it's probably not my path because when I connect with other people, that's when I feel buoyed and re-energized. So it's a pretty direct route for me, but let's talk more and find out. Suzanne and Shanna, anything you want to bring in about how you're doing?
Hi. Actually, after the last meeting, I'm feeling better. I'm trying to just separate myself from it. I don't know how much I have control over things, so there's no reason to fight. I have a couple of friends that they listen to the wrong people that spout things that are simply not true. And they think it is. And so it's really hard. I have in the past chewed them out up one side and down the other, but I just bite my tongue and try not to say anything because time will tell. But he did it again today. Trump did, because he's taking credit for the ceasefire between Israel and Iran, I guess it is. And he had nothing to do with it. I've seen him do that so many times. He just takes credit and he has no idea what he's talking about. Several of his people have told him not to do the tariffs. He does them anyway. It's only going to come out of our pockets.
So in terms of how you're doing with all of this, it sounds like you're still trying to make sense of it or chewing on it and trying to figure it out.
Well, to a certain degree, I just feel like he's got a lot of people completely, believe in him, and he's total bullshit.
So you've got a way of just thinking about it that just makes sense to you.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I just, I don't know what I can do about it.
Mhm,
And I'm
kinda-
not sure what's meant by resource. I just didn't understand. So,
Yeah, I would say feel better. I mean, some way to feel better that isn't necessarily,
okay.
the chocolate cake. Look at your phone more, variety of feeling better. It's not the drifting way. It's actually feels but more nourishing. I
Yes.
I don't have to just rely on sort of like Marge said, an addiction to get me through as much as, even though we can understand why that would be a choice. But maybe to look
Yeah.
for other ways.
I did listen to your book on tape instead of going on YouTube and
Oh,
listening to the politics today. So,
whoa, okay, there's a choice. There's some good modeling. Listen.
yeah, I just, I've got to get through Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
and not everybody in the family has agree on politics. So we're just not going to talk about them.
That's just like a smart move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Even your grandkids just don't listen to you.
All right. Okay.
But I'm doing fine.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
great. I'm glad you're here. And how about you, Shannon? How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm here. That's probably me. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
else you want to say about your current experience? I mean, certainly I know you're dealing with lots of other things with your family
Hmm.
but anything you want to speak in about where you're at emotionally?
Yeah, I just yeah, what do I wanna yeah, I'm noticing welling. Yeah, and it feels, I don't know, it feels selfish to go there.
Oh, selfish.
That's
There's
that's
that.
where I'm at the moment. Yeah, it does, because it feels like this context is about um, the political context in America. And I'd probably have to say for me right now, the big things in my life are yeah, the loss of my mum, and working out Andrew getting a job following being made redundant and just kind of navigating that and kind of working out what's my part in all of that. But anyway, so
I'd
just
say,
that.
oh, just just those things. I'd say the context, in my opinion, is that you all are here and anything I can do to support you is my
Hmm.
context.
Thank you.
And what I mean by support is help you feel better,
Hmm.
specifically,
Yeah, yeah.
to feel, I don't know, wherever you are in the map,
Hmm.
all the way up, that wherever you are, if you're there, to at least feel some peace with where you are. And if not, if you don't want to stay there, to be able to shift to a different level of consciousness, to have some sense that that's up to you. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing here, is to support each one of you with that.
Thank you.
And so, Chanel, is you just kind of tuning into your body? So sadness, is that what's coming up for you? And fear about Andrew?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. 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 And just kind of same old, like how are we gonna learn how to do this differently? A little bit of that as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So I think just as we're doing this, I'm gonna go, since I just ran in here, what I don't have is the inner map up, but I'm gonna go get it, okay? I literally, we were driving from one place to the other, watching, oh, we just gained 2 minutes. I think we're gonna be there on time.
Do you
Anyway.
want me to share it, Julie? 'Cause
Oh,
I've probably
yes,
got
that would be so great. Thank you,
yeah.
Channel. I just so
Okay.
appreciate that about you. You're willing, and like, oh.
Yeah, so I'm just finding it.
Right. And so this is looking at the inner map and placing ourselves, it's just an exercise in where am I in, I was going to say in space, but I guess it's not really in space. Where am I in form in my own particular body currently? And Shannon, will you, make it small so we can see the whole thing?
Is that it?
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Beautiful. And you didn't even have the right one. That's so great. So a nice place to start. Nice meaning, what do I really mean by nice? I have a persona that is called Lost in Space. I finally made a persona doll out of it. It's all in white. It's got kind of stars in its head, and it's got a tether down to the earth, which now and then is just not actually connected to anything. So for me, this counteracts that place of lost in space where I actually can say, oh, here I am. So for example, for me right now, I would say I'm in appreciation and love. I can feel it in my chest. This has to do with seeing you all and just coming in and seeing my beloved friend here and being just I've had some experiences of connection that where I feel that in my body. So I think just kind of get oriented. So that's where I am, but I wasn't there yesterday, just so to be clear, or even in the middle of the night. I was all over this. So it's not as though I'm like, yeah, I'm always in love. I would not say that. And just to be clear, I'm just happy I can feel that right now because I actually prefer that to those other states. So, and why don't we go? I'm just going to call across. Michael, where do you think you are right now?
I'm going to say between neutrality and acceptance.
Okay, great. Again, this is just orienting, really. It's like, oh, I'm in how many degrees, south, southwest kind of a thing. Where am I in the compass? And so, Marge, where do you think you are?
Probably despair.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm so glad you're here. Because if you're in despair, we were recounting as I was driving, as I wasn't driving, Kathy was driving. As we were driving along, I was talking about despair and that pull and how much of my work has to do with not wanting to be in despair. So I just have lots of heart opening for you that you're there because I know that place and I don't like it.
Thanks, Julie.
And Shanna, how about you? Where are you currently?
Yeah, I feel like somewhere, I feel like I'm in that range between despair, sadness, frozen fear, agitated. Like I feel like I'm moving in that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And Suzanne?
I feel like I go from despair, sadness to fear
Mhm.
in there, and a little bit of anger here and there. But
Okay, so you might
in
get all the way to anger.
well, Trump's an idiot, so yeah.
Maybe get to pride.
Well, yeah, maybe there. He just
Yeah,
drives me nuts.
right. So to contextualize this, I'm not suggesting it's better to be in love, appreciation, acceptance, neutrality. I'm not to say it's not better, except it feels better in my body. So I'm not saying there's a moral, we should all be positive. Not saying that, just to really underline that versus, whoa, for me, when I'm in that quadrant, despair, sadness, nobody's in guilt, shame. That's probably, I guess. Anyway, yeah, just my body feels icky. So then maybe part of what can happen out of this call is some of us, I mean, it could be that I could end up down in shame, who knows, right? But to maybe play with that whole experience of more expanded, more contracted, and what actually supports, I mean, going back to resourcing, it could have to do with what supports me to go into a more expanded state versus into more of a contracted state. Knowing that it's all adaptive, just to keep saying that stuff. It's every place on this map is we need it as a mammal. That's every shame, guilt, despair, sadness, all the way up, all the way joy, peace. They're all meant for some part of our experience. We need them, in other words. It just, if we get stuck in those the lowers, the despair, etc., I think it can be really hard to keep going. So now Channel's gone, and I don't know how we can stop. Oh, Channel, if you're still around, will you share the screen? There you are. Thank you. That's great. So anybody want to just comment on what I just said about it can be hard to live in those places? Want to just tell us your current experience of how it's going?
I appreciate you saying that because I think I can hit neutrality, acceptance a little bit in places. I mean, a little bit's happening. I'm really worried about going forward, but I mean, it's like I said, I don't know how much I can do about it personally. You know, he's a pretty scary guy.
So
So
it sounds like for you, Suzanne, you can kind of get to a more of a neutrality or even acceptance, or there's only so much I can do, but then it's easy to go back into, but he's pretty scary.
yeah, yeah. To hit those consistently would be difficult, I think.
Which ones?
Above the line.
Oh, well, that could be a goal. I like the level line. Who knows? You know what you want to
There you go. I'll keep listening to your book.
possible. We'll see. Right? We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, yeah.
I think again, for me, it really helps when there are other people who are playing that same game. Marge or Channel, you want to speak in about your experience?
Just had a thought, Jules. Everybody, that again, this is gonna sound intellectualized. It's not. It's that I forgot that shame was all those things. I was like, is that where you are?
Oh,
And no, listen, I'm fine, y'all. Just, I'm fine.
well, let's be clear, you're not.
But I'm not fine. But what I mean is that one would have to say to myself, you're enough to just be. Like, you're enough to just feel good. You're enough. I go, is that the issue here? Because you keep thinking you got to do something to get out of this. You got to do something. I go, no, wait, aren't you enough to just be? And so that's why I was like, maybe you're just in chronic shame, which I get. Like, I get it. Maybe that's a lifelong journey of this ecosystem. So that's just a new thought. Like, are you in chronic shame? Because I am, that's the getting older. Like, you're supposed to get more whole in yourself. I go, actually, I don't think that's what's happening here. There's so much evidence that I'm not enough as an aging woman and whatever. But I just go, that is the choice you have to make right now. Is that you are enough to just be. And listen, I know who I am. But in the cells, I think I've not given myself permission to just be. And that's worth. Because I keep wanting to do something. Anyway, that's what I just wondered about.
I want to just add some context that I would see as you're describing this. One is the whole win-lose paradigm. The winners are in pride. We won. I love that feeling. It's like, oh, we won against that team. But then the losers, right, go into shame. I mean, that's part of the game here. Now, you can go beyond that paradigm into creative brain, but to really understand that's part of the stakes and why people are willing to really kill each other, to not have to flip to the loser side. I mean, if we look at the whole ceasefire of the Middle East, I mean, I don't know the political pieces to that, but kind of from an emotional mammalian perspective, that's what it looks like to me is, oh, I can't this attack happens for whatever reason, maybe because they didn't want to lose their own whatevers, and then who's shamed and humiliated, and now we're going to right back and forth. So I do think as a human way of handling life, if we're stuck in reactive brain, it is really hard to not to get out of that whole paradigm. I think we're hierarchically oriented, and as soon as we go into hierarchy, it's one up, one down, clearly.
And so,
there's gonna be
Jules,
those
this
down-
is where I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, this
No,
is
you
where I
go.
go into doing again. Okay, okay, you know that. Does this country, I get it, we're in a world, team humanity, but there are other countries that don't have that win-lose. I'm a loser in this culture because I don't have health insurance, right? There's
Yeah.
other countries that don't buy into the conversation that runs this country, and that's when I go into do again. Like, could there be something, at least in my circumstances, that begins to give a foundation for a sense of wholeness? That's why I keep going into do, because
Sure.
I'm like, it's too hard to try to be in this culture.
Yeah.
For me, I wonder that, so anyway, that's why I keep fighting with myself.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Totally makes sense to me. And if that's the context, the water we're swimming in the US. But I don't know. There seems like there's lots of folks that might not be swimming in that. So it looks, I don't know. It looks like I have something to do with my participation in that.
Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But we also have folks from Canada and New Zealand who could give us a sense of I don't know, your perspective, if that's even relevant here. I don't know, Shanna, when I'm looking at you and thinking about where you're currently in fear and despair, I wonder, do you want to speak to that at all about as you've been listening to Marge or Suzanne?
As I was listening to Marge, I actually feel like in some ways there's a similar thing going on, but just in relationship to my husband and him being made redundant. And he's got another job. Every month we're losing $2,000 until he finds a new job in the counseling space. And so that's October, November, December. And now the job he's really interested in, even if he gets it, might not, doesn't have until January. Yeah, and I think I'm in pride. Like, I wouldn't be navigating it like that. I've got all the answers. You just need to do this. And why aren't you doing it? Like, why? But then I drop into despair, but also I think my pride is to avoid going into shame. So I think my biggest thing is kind of losing the need to control the situation. Yeah, but yeah. So I heard parallels between pride and shame and a desire to control or change how this is playing out.
Okay.
Hmm.
Right. So one message. So thanks, Channel, for not being right in the middle of the election so that we can have a sense of, oh, so even if this wasn't the context, we'd still have this to handle and have to figure out. Like, how do we just live as a human being when something got made redundant? Every time I hear that phrase, is that what it's even called? He's been redundant. What do they call it?
Lots of people say I've been made redundant.
redundant.
And as a career transition coach, we're encouraged to say your role was made redundant, not you. Yeah.
So that is not a phrase that we have in the US.
Really?
No,
Not, yeah.
so then I just hear it literally, which sounds very Judeo-Christian to me. Like, it's because you don't have any value. It's easy to make you redundant, right? It's just another copy of you.
Yeah, the big thing around it is it's supposed to be, and generally it's generally it's got that business construct and there are decisions, they're changing the model, they're taking marketing offshore, whatever. But some companies do use it to make people selectively redundant because they're not performing and they use it to take them out. I don't think that's been the situation here, but yeah. So yeah, I hear you about the definition of the redundant. And a lot of people take it on as I have no value. It can be a really hard space to be in. Mm.
So sitting with this basic question of what does that mean to have value? How do I, going back to resourcing I think that has to do with, I wake up in the morning as I can get out of bed thinking, who I am, my life has meaning, has purpose and value. It's worth getting up for. It's worth interacting with other humans. I'm going to generate more of a sense of positivity than negativity, because otherwise I'd just probably stay home. Right? So how to have a foothold in that place that says my value isn't my doing or someone else's, even if the $2,000, like, it's still not. I wish, maybe if I just could do enough and then I'd be valuable. Finally I made it. Darn it. Darn it. So then what's the alternative? Where do we find value from being? How does that work for you? What are your experiences? Michael, you were talking about your essence. So here you are. Thank you. You're on our call. So you can be, right? You can do the thing you were asking about right here. Yay. Right? Where you're bringing your essence self, your creative brain in, and that actually would be, I'm not sure how you would finish that, of service, enough, kind of maybe the same question that we're playing with here.
Yeah. Well, what came to me, I have a coaching client who got really interested in this thing called parts. And I went and looked it up, and I found it really helpful for me because yeah, I
Is
will
it
pick up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
is it internal family systems that you're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about?
it.
Got
That's
it?
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you, because I'm not remembering names very well these days.
Yeah.
But what I get to notice this when I do my meditating in the morning is I'll be sitting there and I'll be listening to this really great music and feeling full and then it'll be like, oh God, she's going to be in a car crash. And it's like, where the hell did that come from? Um, or I'll suddenly remember, right, a news thing like the tariff thing that is making all the news down here. And it's like, oh God, I won't be able to afford this. And then, oh, and I know these people that is, oh, and I've got a daughter who, oh, this is going to be, anyway, that, um, I found it very helpful now to basically identify that part of me that wants to create a disaster film
Hmm. Hmm.
in my life and with those around me.
Oh,
And it's like, um, the thing I got from that was most helpful for me was every part is there and whole and simply wants to be accepted by me. And so now it's like that starts and it's like, oh, hi. Yeah, I know you. I don't even have a name for you yet. And there've been, of all the parts in me, so many of them are designed, seem to be designed to bring my energy and spirit down, to take me to a lower level. So certainly afraid, many of them, some of them very angry, some of them even almost despairing. Um, and then my reaction. Um, I mean, I in my day-to-day life, I never use the F word, but when I'm talking to myself around this, it's like what's up? What are you doing? Get that out of your brain. And it's like, wow, okay. All that seems to do is, again, bring my energy and, yeah, capacity to be present down. So, yeah, so I've been actually enjoying, like, when whoever it is in me that's wants to get my attention about something, um, to allow it in, um, allow that part of me to have a voice. And one thing I've noticed is that, um, I can actually begin to appreciate sometimes. Oh, okay. I get it. You're really concerned. Um, and or wow, that's, I don't even know where that's coming from. And what I'd rather focus my attention on right now is, um, things around me that I can appreciate. Like, okay, it's cold outside and my house is warm. I'm feeling warm. Um, there is there is some food in my refrigerator. Um, I it's very cold today, and I had this idea to make chili
Mm.
for dinner, and that little part of me basically said, "Oh, damn, Celeste doesn't like chili. She won't like this." It's like, oh, I should have asked her. Anyway, it was all, and then, um, about 20 minutes ago, so in the middle of our conversation here, I get this text saying, "What's for dinner? It's really cold." And so I put in, chili and sourdough toast, like, and it's like, oh, that's perfect. It's like we're reading minds. And it's like, oh, wow, yeah, okay. It's almost like, yeah, I'm retraining my awareness that when I basically get caught up in a negative spiral, to simply stop and, I'm appreciating Marge. Um, you know, is it true? And it's like, well, not as far as I know. Um, so let it go until you get more evidence. And why don't we focus on something that's working? Focus on something, yeah. So I had this impulse to make chili. It was like imagined it. And it turns out that it was completely aligned with this person that I really care about.
Right.
Another reminder. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's
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 wonderful.
my
Thank you. So something that we can, I'm guessing, I don't know, did everybody else wonder, do I have a disaster movie film creator in my brain? Yes, I think I do. I hadn't actually identified that particular persona. Oh no, oh no. Well, actually I knew I had a little red hen persona. Oh no, oh no. Don't have both hands. Oh no, sky is falling. Anyway, I knew I had that. Ah, anybody else have a persona that's similar, kind of a part of you that's really good at creating the worst possible outcome in your brain? Right. What is that? It's like when I have insomnia and there's part of me is like, yeah, you're not going to sleep. It's like, who is that talking? Shut up, go to bed. Why are they so
I do
fearless?
definitely.
Who is this? And then, so will each of us identify, like Marge, I wonder who your disaster film equivalent is, or despairing film equivalent part is.
But see, I have so much rationale around it.
Well,
Because if I
clearly.
can accept the worst case scenario, then I'm good to go. So I rehearse catastrophe. That's something Jan Autry would say. Reverse catastrophe. I go, can I accept that? Because remember, I don't know if you remember in a previous session, I was like, I don't accept the worst case scenario of this presidency. That's why I don't know what to do because
Yeah.
I can't accept it. And so this is a first, you
Well,
know.
you're usually
That's
good
what I do.
at
That's
setting
what I
up
do when
first.
I do my disaster film. I go, will I know what to do if that happens? Yes. Then I can move on.
But this
So,
time you can't.
but this time I can't. Honestly, that's the crux of this.
Mhm.
I don't know what to do with the worst case scenario.
Great.
So anyway, I get it. It sounds like I'm justifying it, but I'm telling you that
I love
that's
it.
why I'm so
Thanks for saying it
distraught.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Like, oh God, worst case scenario. And Channel, I wonder, does that ring true for you, or have you faced like into your worst case 2000, 2000, 2000?
Um, yeah, no, what do? I go into doing. I go into, I need to earn more. I need to earn more. I need to say yes to all the things I don't want to do. Say yes, 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 and work myself into a frazzle, even though that's not what I want to be doing right now. Yeah,
That'll
that's my
get
coping.
that. Yeah.
Agitated fear,
Uh,
pride.
do more,
That's my.
do more, do more. How about Suzanne? How about for you? Do you have a Doom movie producer in your brain?
Yeah, sometimes I'll think the worst case scenario. But I notice as I get older, I don't care as much. So that helps,
Great. It could
you
happen.
know? Yeah, I've been through a lot through life and I'm getting more and more, you know what, you deal with that. I've helped you a lot through life. It's your turn. But yeah, once in a while it turns on and I've got to go over and fix everything and everything's a disaster and
Somebody else has the disaster. Well,
yeah.
and as a culture, I don't know if this is true in New Zealand, Canada, but wow, we produce so this ongoing line of apocalyptic thrillers. I don't know, like how many times do we want to just get to that place of what is the worst thing could happen? Will we blow up our planet? Is it going to be an asteroid? Is it going to be like how many times are we rehearsing pretty much what Marge, what you're saying is okay. It could look like that we all have to live in a silo. I didn't watch that one. It's like, oh my God. Do you all do that too? It seems like Canada, you should seem like my pictures that you would be not doing that as much.
The movies are available if people want to watch them. I don't watch them. They're not my choice of movie. I don't go there because it's just like, oh, why bother? Um, but it reminds me of Katie Hendricks saying, like the disasters, they get bigger and bigger and bigger each time. Like it's just, yeah.
Kind of, yeah, like we've done culturally here.
Mm.
Bigger,
Yeah.
as Shannon, are you saying because Katie's point, because we require that kind of adrenaline burst or?
I think she feels like, yeah, that we've got to create more fear. So how do we make this bigger? How does it, and faster, the pace at which the things are happening, yeah.
And Michael, you were going to add in.
Oh, yeah, just that I grew up watching NFL football. And 'cause I lived very close to the border, so we could get a TV station across the line. Um, and whether it's basketball or baseball or hockey, um, the those movies take that experience of you got to yeah, you got to go and challenge the enemy, and if you win, you can celebrate, and if you lose, that's it. It's over.
So
And those movies make billions of dollars, where a beautiful moving movie is often lucky to be maintained. So yeah, I think culturally there's I'm a bit like Chanel. I it's yeah, it's just like read the thing, and as soon as it says thriller or whatever, it's like no, because I just know what that's going to do to my whole being.
So I don't know, Marge, if it feels like you're living that worst doom movie right now, and there is no end that you can see.
Or yes, and I read a book a long time ago, said define your sphere of influence. So that's where I'm at. I have lost my why. I don't believe in my why anymore. My pre-Trump career, do you see what I mean? It's I know that's in doing, but I just keep feeling like, look, you're the one who's the agent of this life. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do to create a structure that you can live into that aligns with what your values are now? So it's my why is not aligned. My values changed since 2016. Like I'm not the same person. And the structures that I thought were resourcing me were either an illusion or, I know I saw this video, nihilism or depression. I go, are you a nihilist? Like, I am so, I am back to what's the fucking point?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know I'm the one who has to create the meaning, but I don't, I'm flailing with creating the meaning.
Mhm.
And I think that is a legitimate, necessary, really great question to ask. So here's where I don't think I'm just flailing because that's my existential condition. I really feel like there is a problem I need to solve here
Yeah.
while I'm making it worse.
Mhm. Oh, geez, that's
Do
tough.
you know what I mean? I'm making it worse with my flailing, but that's what I'm in. Or I'm kidding myself, Julie, that I get it. Answer the question from the grounded being. Okay, could you start there, please? So, anyway, yes and no. I don't know if I answered your question. Yes, disaster movie, but also look, you have the skills. How you know what to do. You know what to ask. You know you got to sit. You know you got to tap. You know you got to do you know what to do. Am I making sense?
Right. And then choosing
Thanks
to,
for
or
that.
having the energy to do it is what I hear.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
I just kind of feel like I need, Carolyn Mays would talk about this in energy anatomy, like maybe you just keep depleting and you're below zero. And I go, God, I think I'm fucking below zero,
yeah.
you know? So what are you going to do then to get above zero? Yeah, except the state you're in, it doesn't quite attract that now, does it? Who wants to hang out with you? Whatever. Not a nice question to ask yourself, but
Yeah.
so that's Michael, I get it. That's what my mind is doing all the time. And I'm like, oh, I got to figure out what part it is because man, it's having its way with me. I know that, but knowing it has never made a difference. And
It hasn't anchored you to it.
it hasn't anchored
It
me.
hasn't
And the
planted you onto a
way,
new planet. It's
what's that, Jules?
it's not like, oh, I'm an inhabitant of this new place. Instead, I can
yes,
go here, but then I go back to this old place, and it's very familiar.
yes. And the mechanism to discern all this is the enemy. Do you know what I mean? I just is there something to lobotomize this
Right?
temporarily?
I know it's
Because
I right, the whole ice pick thing has made sense to me under these circumstances. I mean, that's right. How anybody ever chose to stick ice picks into their brain. Well, because right, it gets to be this torturous So, in this last few minutes, here's what I suggest, that we do a lightning round of things that have actually supported us to move out of what Marge is saying, because I know that place really well. And I'm not saying any of these are going to help for you today. This is not trying to band-aid over this huge question you're asking, like, what is your why? It's a huge, huge question. I'm so glad that you have honored us with that question. I mean, that one has followed me for since I was 16, I think. We studied existentialism. What a terrible thing to do with 16-year-olds. Anyway, so yes, you finding your why. But let's do just a quick, each one of us, what's something like, what's one of your favorite or most delicious or something is Thanksgiving? What's one offering we can offer to each other to remind each other of something else besides despair or fear or being stuck in those places? So anybody have a nice stuffing, or perhaps a little pecan pie? I saw somebody buying a chocolate pecan pie. Like, what's the equivalent emotionally for you all that actually helps address that place?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding what you're saying, but the thing that came up to me is a beautiful park near us. And when I go in it, there's this place and there's these big trees, and I'm surrounded by green on the grass and up there. And that fills me just with love and appreciation. So, but I don't know if that's what you were asking,
Oh, yeah,
Julie.
it's like, what's a favorite shift move that
Mm,
helps in those times?
mm.
How about you, Suzanne? Do you have one to offer us?
I'm not, I'm sorry, I was
Sure.
thinking and I didn't hear the question.
And you're like in a place that's similar, a despair place or frozen fear, and it's just things like even shame. Like, what's the point? What's something that you do that really can do something with that? It's just an idea. This is just brainstorming.
Usually when I'm really sad and frustrated, I am addicted to TV. It's terrible, but usually I'll find something that makes me laugh, and that'll brighten my spirit,
Okay.
or something that tastes good.
Or something that tastes good. If something will help you laugh, or something that tastes good. Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
How about for you, Marge? Anything that you can?
Yeah, you know what, I just love tarot cards so much, and I taught myself to read them during the pandemic, and I mean, so I use a pendulum, so it feels like it affirms, it kind of does the being and doing. It kind of calms me down, reflects, sometimes reveals, and it keeps me sane for a minute. Because it has me asking questions, and also it's providing answers for now. Sometimes it says chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, you're fine. That's what they do. They go, you're fine, chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. I have a couple of decks with me, including the Mother Mary one, which is a current favorite of mine. And yes, you have that one. So I'm going to remember to go.
No, I know you love it so much, and
Yep, well, me and Mary, we've been
yeah.
hanging. So yeah, and then the Mother Peace deck. So thanks for that little nudge. I know it's time for us to go, so let's see if there's anything else I would say besides that. I'm remembering Gay Hendricks with this particular discipline, which kind of goes back to the do question. But if I notice that I'm having a worry thought, I'm just remembering this. It's not like I've been applying it, but now it's like, oh yeah. Notice that I'm worrying about something. What's one creative action I can take in the next 5 minutes? Just one in the next 5 minutes, not like, well, I'm going to write it, blah. Just one. Could mean I'm going to post this video, or could be I'm going to, I don't know, make something really good that Suzanne would love to eat. Right? Or just one creative action, one little one. Yeah. Oh, and my last question, Marge, have you written a poem about this experience yet? Because I don't know if Chanel, Suzanne, you know, Marge is a really wonderful poet. But have you used that? Speaking of one creative
I
action.
have not, Jules, but I will do, I appreciate the 5-minute deadline matters.
I would love to see a poem about what's the point or whatever about I feel so ashamed or I have no purpose. I would love to see that poem. So I don't know if you feel like sharing it with us ever, but that to me, it's like getting right in the middle of everything instead of trying to just not deal with it. So I appreciate so much that you're that person who's right in the middle, being with it. And Suzanne, that you're here, and Chanel, we're here with you, and thank you for participating today. We're coming back next week, and I'll be back in Colorado. So let's just keep doing this. Arm in arm, y'all. Arm in arm.
All right. Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving, Julie.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving. Grateful to each one of you.
Channel, you down there.
Glad you're here doing this with us on this planet right now. Thank you, you all. Mwah. Bye.